Welcome back to The Experience, everyone. Today my guest is Lou JD. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate the opportunity, man.
It's we've been talking about this for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
And it manifested itself into tonight. So how's everything going?
Everything's going good, man. Just daily life, work, stuff like that, taking care of the kids and, trying to continue to put out the message, the ultimate goal.
Dude, you went straight into character, bro. I like it. Some people get a little nervous in here. Is this your first podcast, or how many have you done?
First podcast.
Have you been on camera before?
Never.
No. Damn, dude. Because like with your background, you have some what's the word I'm looking for? You have some criteria that holds value in this industry.
I do my own content, stuff like that, you learned about stuff, but after you do enough research and you watch enough stuff, it's like a persuade.
Right. Yeah, you like for the folks watching, listening, just give us like a little background about you.
Yeah.
So today's episode is a little different, so
yeah, absolutely. So if I date back to it, 7 and 8, so you're looking at 15 years of community helping type career. Started out as a volunteer fireman, and I became a paid fireman.
Thank you. For your service.
Thank you. Hell, I love helping people. So I took that and evolved it into becoming. I just wanted more community outreach. Like as a fireman,
How long did you do that for?
7 years.
Okay.
7 years total for being a firefighter, and transitioning from that to being a police officer. Because my father was a police officer for 35 years. So. Yeah. Of course, that was just one of the goals, but transitioning from firefighter to police officer, because I felt like I had more of a community outreach. I was able to be out on the streets and, helping, from young men to, children all the way to, grown adults. But
yeah, my dad was a fireman first, then a police officer. And my stepdad was also a volunteer fireman. But
that's crazy. So, he did both and everything, huh?
Yeah, it was, my dad said I wasn't built for it. He's like, keep cutting hair. But I thought about it. Because I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
But hopefully with
you're doing your thing now. You are helping people.
Yeah, hopefully with this, we are accomplishing that. And, that's why we're here tonight, because, I guess the topic of discussion is men's mental health, right?
Correct.
Yes. Something that people... It's talked about. It's not talked about. You say there's a stigma.
There's a huge stigma, man. And
you think there's like a war against men right now?
Absolutely, it is. With the new generation, if you look at social media, from your TikTok to Instagram, stuff like that, it's just masculinity in men is, if you look at it, the statistics and the overall from, back when our grandpas were,
right,
men as they were, it's nothing like that.
Right.
At all.
Right.
Men are becoming soft men.
Right.
And
the world wants to kind of soften us down, right?
Exactly.
They tell you to be a man.
They tell you to be a man.
But you can't cry. If you cry, you're weak.
Exactly. If you cry,
it's kind of weird.
Absolutely.
Is that a double? What is that?
It's almost a double standard.
Yeah, double standard. Yeah.
And you have, women. I love women.
Of course,
it's and promoting what I do promote with men's mental health and just general mental health. It's nothing against women, and I actually get.
You're just trying to bring awareness for us.
It's right. Awareness for us, because I've always did them. I was there for mental health, and then when the event happened in my life, that it was like, guys, like nobody's there for me. Mm-hmm. Who's got me?
Did y'all in like the police force, or even like I guess the fire department, obviously like y'all have seen some crazy shit, were there like programs or like therapy, like was there stuff to help y'all deal with what you were seeing and dealing with, or how
so with all of that they offered it, and for 2 calls that I experienced in my career as a police officer, they recommended me go see like mental health therapist, stuff like that. Just
like a psychotherapist?
No, it was a debriefing.
Okay, gotcha.
Therapist. Right. It was what you saw.
Right.
How are you feeling?
Right.
Stuff like that. And to be honest, it's I would say it's 99% of the police officers that's on the forces, when they do encounter a call like that does affect them, when they do go see these therapists and stuff like that, they're not opening up.
Going back to men aren't supposed to show their feelings, or it's not.
Yeah, I mean, because we're conceived as weak if we do.
Right.
Like
you're a man. You don't have to be hard.
Exactly.
Why are you talking about your feelings, man? And it's like, well, don't I have feelings too?
Exactly. And we suck that shit up.
Yeah. I mean, well, you're told to, you're taught to, right? Because I mean, like you said earlier, it shows weakness if you cry or, shit like that. But I mean, shit, man.
But you want to know the craziest things? There's a lot of men that come from the military.
Right.
Especially, Marines. Mm-hmm. They come in and, they do their 4 years, and they may do more, but when they come back home to their home front, they want to continue that environment. So they become a police officer.
Gotcha. So
you now have it to where you've seen shit cross seas, and you've done what you've done as, the military and as a Marine or Army or any other branches, but you come back to your home front to help the community, and you get shit on.
Yeah, there's definitely another movement of that right now.
I mean, there is. I mean, I got a good friend of mine I worked with, I won't mention his name, but I mean, from the military to, being a sheriff's deputy and stuff like that, there's no break. And like, he thought, like, coming back to his own homeland, that he would help his community.
Right.
And the era that
to do the right thing.
Right, to do the right thing. And the era that he came back to was the body cam era, whereas they were, protesting for body cams and stuff like that. And he experienced, as he got back, his first couple of weeks back, bricks thrown at his unit. It was always, excuse my French, I mean, I don't want to speak like this, but it's fuck the police.
Yeah.
And he was bamboozled. Like, he's like, I didn't do you nothing, but it's because he wears the badge.
Right.
And I felt bad for him because, like, he suffered and dealt with what he did across seas.
Right.
To come back home, no love.
Yeah.
None at all.
Well, I'll be honest, man. My dad was a cop since the day I was born, and for 17 years, and I pretty much dealt with my whole life. Like, either they liked cops or they fucking hated them, and I didn't understand why. Because I'm like, well, who do you call when you call? When you need help, you call the cops. But so I never really understood that. And then when all this shit with COVID and everything was happening, it was like, oh fuck, defund the police. I'm like, well, do you realize what kind of animals they deal with? I mean, they're going out there risking their lives for you and me and their families. And I don't think people are educated enough on seeing what they see or what you've seen.
Right.
Like, you've seen some shit.
It all boils down to, like, when you need them, you need them. And then when you don't and you encounter with them, you hate them.
Right.
And that's the majority of what the community does.
Yeah.
It's not in they're not on their side. You get pulled over a speeding ticket. You're not happy with the cop. You broke the law.
Yeah. It's like my dad always said, if a cop pulls you over, yes, sir, no, sir.
It's a little bit of respect will get you a long way.
Right. And if you don't, then they can make your lives a little difficult. But, I mean, that's going back to, the good cop, bad cop. There's good politicians, bad politicians. I mean.
Right. And I'll be the first to say that there is bad cops. I mean, I've seen them out there.
I mean, there's bad politicians too.
Absolutely. Oh God.
There's bad everything. There's good and evil in the world,
That's another episode right there.
Yeah. There's just bad humans in general and good humans. I mean, I think putting, labels on everybody is kind of goofy.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a stigma for just.
Well, like, what are you advocating right now? Like, as far as, like, I know we spoke a couple days ago, like, you advocate for men's health. Like, what is that? Like, what do you do? Like,
so I started out with mental health and stuff like that because I suffered from it,
Right.
And then after learning and getting through that chapter in life, suffering and dealing with it myself, I had nobody to reach out to.
Right.
It was very lonely, and there's not a lot.
Like a PTSD thing?
Yeah.
Like
What
is it like?
And I'll say it. It's one of my last calls when I was a police officer. I won't mention her name. God bless her soul, but it's a 13-year-old girl. It was a suicide call, and we always got dispatched suicide calls.
Mm-hmm.
And it become so on a regular that a lot of the suicide calls were bullshit.
Right.
It's a crying out for help, but it wasn't a legit suicide.
Right. Like, oh, I cut my wrist, but then like you show up and like
it's a little nick,
yeah.
And that I understand you going through some things,
right?
But this one call, something hit me when it was in my area, and I got dispatched to it, and the nature of the call was it was a young female inside of the woods. She's actually Facebook Live.
Talking to Mike.
And she was Facebook Live.
14 or 13?
13 at the time. I believe it was 13. It was 13,
Facebook
14.
Live?
She was Facebook Live. And that's the general complaint that came out that was dispatched to me, that she's in the woods Facebook Live and she's wanting to commit suicide, and there was nothing more after that. Damn. And as you get that call, because you're so in tune to the generic suicide call where you get there and it's like that.
Now we're using the fucking World Wide Web to. What do you think made her want to display it like that? I mean, I know kids are like in all the social media platforms, so I get it, but like.
So I believe the way she displayed it, especially with on like Facebook Live and stuff like that, it's not a cry for attention. And I see a lot of people say this, like when they, promoting herself, whether it be a business, to your feelings, your emotions, or just the way you're feeling, and you post it on social media, mm-hmm. It's not a cry for attention at all. It's their outlet. I mean,
right. That's how they're expressing themselves.
That's how they express themselves. And people will express themselves differently with how they go throughout their life. Like, right. So she went Facebook Live, and I learned this after the fact, but her like, she wanted to kill herself because her teacher was raping her. And her teacher was raping her, and she told her parents about it. She told her friends. She told multiple people. And they thought she was delusional, and she was lying, and they didn't believe her. And
fuck.
Yeah, and learning this after, it made me second think myself, like, what could I have done more to help her? And I will never forget walking through those woods by myself as a deputy, walking through the woods, and I won't mention other deputies' names or sheriff's department, but I didn't have backup. Okay. I didn't have multiple units there because we're used to the normal cry wolf suicide. Right. So, I walked through the woods and I heard a dog bark, and I hear a dog bark, and I kind of like go through the trees and direct myself that way. As I go that way, I see, the dog, and I see her.
What kind of dog?
It was a poodle, all black poodle. Okay. Never forget it, man. And that dog is amazing because during the event, when the event happened, that dog protected her. That dog protected her. That dog knew what was going on. And like, after that dog felt like I was there to help, that dog submitted to me and helped me help her in any way I could, So
what happened when you showed up?
Oh, man. So like I get to, I would say it's like a 6-foot distance, and
at this point you see her?
Yeah, at this point I see her, and she's got her back against a tree, and she has a phone in her hand, like this, and she's talking, and I was about to say her name, but she said her, I said her name, and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" It's just, I didn't pull my weapon. She had I clearly seen the firearm. In protocol, you pull your firearm.
Right.
But in that situation, I just felt like it wasn't needed.
Right. So you made like that judgment call that some people might disagree with or agree with, but at, you know, like you're showing your human side.
Yeah, it's a human side.
I mean, it's a little girl trying to commit suicide.
Right, exactly. And, you know, that little girl could have took my life, though.
Right.
You don't know that. Right. And it's just, it was the energy in the air, really.
Well, yeah, like she didn't feel like a threat. She felt like she needed help.
Exactly.
You felt like she needed the help, yeah.
Exactly. And I never pulled my firearm. And, I mean, protocol was to pull my firearm. And
what kind of gun did she have?
It was like a Beretta 9mm, her father's weapon.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. And, you know, I said her name. I said, what's going on? You know, and she's crying. And she didn't say any words, but she was crying. And I said her name again. And I'm like, look, whatever you're going through, you know, I try to relate to her, you know.
Correct.
But how you look at it, how does a 30-year-old man relate to a 13-year-old girl?
Right.
But I told her, I was like, hey, you know, we do go through things, you know. And,
for sure.
And you're so young, like you're just starting the stressful part of life where you have responsibility, and that you start noticing these things that do stress you out, that test your mental abilities and right. stuff like that. And I tried to get on a level with her, and ultimately I felt like I failed because like but she thanked me, you know, after I tried talking to her, she thanked me and she says, but I'm done.
Right.
And then, you know, she ultimately ended her life.
Because at that point, for her to do that, it's like, hey, I've tried to tell everybody. Nobody's listening.
Right. Yeah.
And even though you were listening,
she was just at that moment where it's she was done. You know?
So I mean, after that happened, man, like you said, I remember we were talking a couple of days ago, like you tried to help her, and then the dog like fucking blockaded you.
Yeah,
like,
so after she did what she did, I approached her, and she was laying on the ground, and her dog was protecting. The dog would not let me near her,
right.
And I was a canine officer, so and prior, so I know how, you know, dogs are, and I inched in, and it was weird. Like all of a sudden, like from the dog barking, it was like a flip of a switch. Like the dog just stopped and then walked up to me, and then I was able to step down to her.
Did like in a situation like that, do y'all still try to practice CPR, like, or like you feel like
absolutely
vitals? Okay,
absolutely. And as a human, like, you know the totality of the injury, like. You know when like a certain situation, like a person may be gone, but I think my heart took over, and it was not me being a cop. It was just
being a human. Yeah,
being a human, and I did what I can do, you know. And then, oh man, it's hard.
But how did so that happened? Like, how did that make, like, what happened after that? Like, how did you feel? Like, did you have to obviously get debriefed, and did it like kind of fuck you up? Or, I mean, because we've talked, but like for the people listening, you know, this is our first convo about it, you know.
Right. So protocol is usually a debriefing through the sheriff's office. I didn't get it. And then, you know, as I aired over the radio of the events that took place, you know, other deputies responded and they showed up, and you know, I can't knock an officer how they deal with grief.
Right.
Because I know how I dealt with grief in certain situations.
Right.
But in that certain situation with her, I was torn. And, you know, I had a couple of deputies that showed up, you know, to help me out with the call, the scene, stuff like that. And, you know, they chuckled, laughed about certain things. I just didn't have no laughter in my body. Right. It just wasn't there.
Right.
But I can't knock them, because laughter in a hard situation like that may be how that officer gets through a situation to kind of numb what's going on.
Everybody handles that differently.
Right. So, I mean, I stayed with her till EMS, you know, put her on a spine board and transported her. I stayed with her the whole time. until they're pronounced, you know.
Right.
So, and then I met with the family after, and after I met with the family, you know, they showed a lot of love to me because they understood what I went through at that moment.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we talked, and, you know, not going to say, like, much about, like, but it was pretty crazy. You know, you had, it was very graphic, right? Yeah. And, dude, I can't even imagine. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, somebody just, like, took their life, and they were like a kid, you know, like they had their whole world in front of them.
Yeah, they never even got to experience the best part of life.
So I know we spoke before. So you said this teacher actually, like, nobody believed her, and then what happened? Like,
nobody believed her. You know, full investigation got that was taking part. The teacher actually got arrested and got life in prison.
Nice.
Because of the evidence of emails, because it was emails at like 2 a.m. in the morning, which should not have happened.
Right.
So
hey, your papers due.
Yeah, your papers due.
6:30 a.m. Sorry, I'm messaging you so late.
Right. Dude. So that was a good track record.
Wow.
And then from there, you know, actually her mom, I gave her mom a card, and her mom wound up calling me a day before the funeral.
Okay.
And her mom asked me ultimately, hey, I don't know if you do this, but I think she and I would, you know, love to have you here. That was hard for me.
How'd it make you feel?
God, man, it's like I walked. So I was working that day for the funeral.
Okay.
I was in uniform, and I walked in, and I mean, if I was in a suit, I can kind of like disguise myself of who I am there. Right. But being in uniform,
right?
She's already spoke to people, and so when I walked in for the funeral, you know, like it kind of like time stopped. Like when I walked through the door, you know, and then one turned around, and then like everybody turned around, and then like I just want to cry. I ain't gonna lie, you know. Yeah. My emotions hit me, you know. You know, everybody stopped what they was doing. They looked at me. I walked straight to, you know, the casket, and I said my piece, and I told her I love her. You know, I love you as a human, and I'm sorry that, you know, you couldn't complete and win your battle.
Right, because I think in certain situations, because, you know, people will be like, oh, you know, if you know, people that kill themselves, you know, it's they lose respect for them because they're like, you know, you took the easy way out, but it's not always the case, right? I mean, you know, this girl's getting, you know, abused by
a grown man,
and you know, if you know, she's telling people like, hey, this is happening, and nobody's listening, I'm like, what do you fucking do?
What do you do?
I mean, I have 3 sisters, man. I have a bunch of nieces, and I mean, if one of them ever said, hey, you know, my teacher's molesting me, I'll be like, all right, well, what class? Let me go. You know, and I mean, you know, it's just,
right.
I don't know, man. Shit's just not handled. You know, it's not always handled the way we want it, but sorry you had to go through that. Like, what happened after that? Did you like bounce back? I mean, like, because I know we've talked about you suffer from depression.
Yeah.
Did it start with that, or is like this way before?
So,
or
after a call like that, I mean, you're still working.
Yeah.
You know,
you still have to be a cop.
You still got to be a cop. You still got to answer other calls. And
it's the shit people don't see, man.
Yeah. I mean, you suck it up.
Yeah.
It's part of being a man.
Fuck like the police, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, well, go back and do your job. You're like,
right. And I had to suck it up.
Right.
And I had to go to the next call.
Right.
And then the next call.
Correct.
Having all of what happened with the event, you know how they say that, you know, the saying, you know, hang your feelings at the door?
Yes.
It's what I had to do with each call.
Correct.
And, you know, it's a little graphic, but, like, I still had, like, blood on me.
Right.
Because when she shot herself, the direction of the exit wound was at me.
Oh, wow.
So I still had that. I mean, it was just a really messed up day, you know. But I still had to be the police. Still had to, you know. Protect and serve, right. So, you know, when the time come for me to end my shift, I go straight home. Because, you know, debriefing, they should have called me and, you know, just, I should have went unavailable over the air, and they should have called me and debriefed me.
Right.
And that ended my day. Like, they shouldn't have. So, but no, I just continued to be a police officer. And But the time comes where it's time to go home. And, you know, at that time, I had a girlfriend. I had 2 stepchildren, 2 children, 2, you know, twins. You know, I have identical twin boys, and, you know,
awesome, man.
And they're newborns. So, like, I pull up in the driveway, and I'll never forget, you know, and you could probably relate to this as a man on some rough days, but, like, you sit in the driveway for, like, 20 minutes without even going in. And if you ever catch yourself like that, it's because you have to hang your feelings at the door.
Right. Time to be a man again.
It's time to be a man again. It's time to be a dad.
Yeah.
It's time to be a boyfriend, a husband. Yeah. You know, like, so, you know, I sat in the driveway and go in, and, you know, kids are excited to see me. And, you know, what I know what I have all over my uniform at that moment. So I kind of like hug kids, but not let them get all over me, you know?
Right.
So, and it broke me down, man. When my kids come, I got to, you know, kind of like push the kids off a little bit.
Right.
You know, so like usual, you know, I head to the room, to the bathroom, to the, you know, walk-in closet, stuff like that. Right. The kind of like take all my stuff off. And I go to undo my belt, man, and something freaking, like, it fucking hit me, and, like, it buckled me to my knees, and I broke down. And I was overwhelmed with emotions from that day, and just, it's never happened to me before. Like, I've had some really rough days.
Right.
You know, I've had shootouts, I've had shootings, I've had other suicides, I've had every call you can really think of.
Right.
Nothing has ever affected me like that day.
Right.
And then me breaking down, you know, my significant other, I guess she heard me, you know, crying a little bit. So she walked in. She's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, you know, I couldn't speak at that moment because I'm breaking down, you know, like I was
letting
breaking
it all out.
Yeah, I was letting it out, bro. I like,
but at this point, she knows what happened. Or not really.
Yeah, because I texted her. I had texted her. I had a bad call, you know.
Yeah. Right.
And, you know, her response is, "You okay?" And that's a generic, you know, "Yeah, I'm okay."
And it's like, are we supposed to be okay at that moment? You know, I mean, like, from your experience, like, how did you feel like you should feel?
Like a human.
Yeah.
And that's
some heavy shit, man.
Like a human, man. Like, yeah, we're born to be tough. We're born to
survive,
deal with things, you know, like as a husband, you know, man, and it's so, and I'll step off subject a little bit, but like the funny statement, you know, when people say, you know, make me a sandwich in the kitchen, you know, make me a sandwich. Right. And they're like, "I ain't making you a sandwich," or whatever. But when you're out to eat, you know, and a man approaches and disrespects your girl, what do your girl expect you to do?
Whip that ass.
Yeah. When
show them respect.
When you walk into the car and
hold that door open,
you're expected to open the door, right?
Yeah.
So
a gentleman always does.
Right. But make me a sandwich.
But do you think maybe saying, "Can you make me a sandwich?" Or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is about how you say it.
Yeah, correct.
And I'm just speaking in general.
But then even if they go, "You make your own sandwich," you're like, "Well, damn, I held the door." Like, you know, I try to be as, you know, manly and
But you was raised, so you
polite.
was raised in the generation, and like this generation now, I don't want to speak on it too much because that is a whole nother topic right there.
It's a different podcast.
Yeah,
yeah.
But like being raised, and you're the same age as me. We're raised to where open doors, pull out the seat,
right?
You know, tend to our lovers, like all of that, and then while doing all of that, bottle in everything that has happened, all the stress. When your girl asks, like, "What's wrong with you?" Like, if you have what they call a resting bitch face, like if a man has resting bitch face,
I have that all the time.
It's nice looking, but
thanks, man.
If you know,
it's my model face. Haven't started yet.
But if you have that,
right,
they're like, "What's wrong?" And nothing's wrong.
Yeah,
sometimes something catching is. Sometimes something is, and 98% of the time you will admit, like, "Hey, look, this is wrong," and y'all talk about it.
Right.
But on a daily basis, if you do have that look on your face and they do ask you what's wrong and you're like, nothing, it's because as a man, and I've learned this over the last 2 years after doing so much research and studying, but you're thinking of all the times or a certain situation that just has you stressed, and you're trying, like, it can be something at work. You screwed up at work, and that's on your mind, and you're at home, still and like, what's wrong? But you really can't speak on it because they're not going to understand what's going on. They're going to be like, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
So you're internally dealing with it, and some people are more visually open to reading faces. So like, you show your feelings on your face.
Wear your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah, you wear it on your sleeve. Yeah. You know, I noticed like we both got the same arm tattoo with the same hand tattoo on the side. So
great minds think alike.
Exactly. So a lot of like things that you may do, I do. Like when I do every tattoo on my body, and this is getting a little off subject, but every tattoo on my body means something.
Same.
So I express on my own body, it's because of a pain relief. And, you know, people ask, like, why do you get tattoos? I'm like, because of an event in my life.
Right.
And when I get that event put on my body, it's not a remembrance. It's not something like that. It's just, it's meaningful to me.
Right.
And, I mean, but that conversation can go far on with,
I mean, sometimes it's to, so you don't forget. You know, like certain things. I mean, I tattooed my sobriety date on me, and people are like, well, what if you relapse? I'm like, I'm not. That's why it's there.
Exactly.
To remind me not to. You know? Which, you know, that could be a controversial topic.
If you look at this tattoo right here, it's a crown and Louis, that's my son,
yes.
You know?
Yes.
This is Louis, this is me. I'm holding his hand, we're walking, and there's a statement on there. It's what he wrote down, because this right here, what it says, and it says, I'll say it, it's, I am so proud of you, Dad, keep fighting. Because he saved my life and he doesn't even know it.
Right.
You know, because like with, you know, the entire men's mental health thing with tonight, with the episode, like one of my darkest moments, you know, I always hid everything from him. Right. I don't let him see that Dad's hurt.
Well, yeah.
And I don't think any father would. And he walked in. I was crying. He walked in one night, and he's like, "Dad, why are you crying?" And I'm like, "I'm good, son."
Dads aren't supposed to cry.
Yeah. I'm like, "I'm good." But as I'm saying I'm good, I'm teaching him.
Gotcha.
I'm teaching him to be a man.
Right. Yes. But
what I'm also doing is teaching him to bottle it up.
Right.
So after, I told him, I'm like, I'm good. And then it came to me after I realized that, and I pull him to the side, I clear my face, back to Dad face. And I tell him, I said, "Look, man," I said, "you're 60 years old. You're old enough. You understand things." He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, I'm like, you're going to go through things, bro. You're going to go through things in life where it's like, it's hard.
Yeah.
And how you deal with it is how you deal with it. But you can't let it defeat you. And I told him that. And I don't know if he understood. He could have understood it, but his only response was, "I'm proud of you." And
that's awesome, dude.
When he told me, "I'm proud of you," it changed every single aspect of all my depression. I always know I got kids to live for, but I don't know why he said it, but I know he meant it.
Correct.
And so he wrote it on, he wrote that down on a paper, and I gave him the chance. He wrote it down on paper, and, I got it tattooed on me,
That's awesome, dude.
And everybody asks me about this, It's a family tree, but it's pretty empty right there. It's pretty dead,
Right.
So, empty, family tree. It's because my family's empty. So, and when when I say that is, if you look on this side, it's, you know, Wyatt and Creed. It's my twins. You know, I haven't seen them in 2 years. And there's a lot to do with the situation.
Right.
But I haven't given up. Thousands of dollars and fighting every day and depression every day. It's, man, I wake up and sometimes, you know, I used to think, I'd say about 6 months ago, but I wake up and I'm like, didn't want to live, didn't want to go through with it, didn't want to go through with the day, I didn't want to face it.
Right.
But
you've thought about that a lot?
Yeah.
I think everybody, I can't speak for everybody, but I know I have. And I know a lot of people do. I mean, that's like one of the reasons why we're here tonight, man, because it's so, a lot of people are out there are suffering, man. And
they are. And that's why I do what I do now. Because every single situation, I mean, I got divorced 2 weeks after my honeymoon.
Right.
I was married once, I got divorced 2 weeks after my honeymoon. As fucked up as it may sound.
Right.
And then,
life's dealt you some tough cards.
Man, like, and I always used to think, like, why me, you know?
Right.
But now, as I transitioned, as my back's against the wall, you know, I was able to learn, you know, and this can go for female, male, anything. But when your back's against the wall, sometimes that wall is meant for you to lean on a little bit, catch your breath.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay to take a break.
Yeah, take a break,
recoup.
Catch your breath, recoup, and get back at it, you know?
Yeah, because if not, you wear yourself out, and then that's when you just completely, you know, everybody thinks like, oh, I got to go on, you know, 1,000 miles an hour. At least that's how I think.
Yeah, right.
And then I realized like, oh, I'm getting burnt out, you know, or I can't handle it anymore. Well, it's because you're not taking a fucking break.
So one of the biggest things with that I learned over the time after, you know, my studying and researching, and I reach out to people. I have conversations with, you know, like on TikTok, I have 250,000 followers on it, and I get
nice.
It's a little nice, you know. It's a little overwhelming sometimes, but you get these people you don't even know that message you because of the message you put out. And today, I can flip a phone and show you the conversation. Like, they had this girl, and it was on a MensMental Health video.
Okay.
She messaged me. She's like, I deal with this with my husband.
Wow.
And thank you for spreading this word, because, you know, the video that I put out there that portrayed to the fact of, you know, stop yelling, stop reacting in the way that you react, and understand that he loves you. He wants everything with you. He wants to be the husband and everything. But understand what's going on deep inside of him that makes him lash out within an argument. Because now, when I get approached with a hostile environment, when I get an argument, something like that, it could be anything. I don't say nothing. Say what you got to say, and then I'm gone. I'm not going to provoke you. I'm not going to entertain it. You're not going to get my energy.
I was literally going to say that.
You can't steal that from me now.
Yep.
But it took everything that I've been through to get this part of me where I'm not going to give you that attention, that energy off of me that you want.
Right.
What if it turns into a fight? What if you kill me by a one-punch knockout or something like it? Or you shoot me?
Well, anger feels good. So it's like the more you fuel it, the quicker shit can get crazy.
Exactly. And when, you know, somebody's like, you know, fuck you, I'm like, I love you too.
Yeah. They're mad about something else, and it ain't you.
Exactly. And I don't want to involve myself with it.
No, man, you could tell that's from experience.
It took a lot.
Yeah.
It took a lot of events in my life. It took a lot of letdowns. I mean, it's hard. It's hard for a person like me to receive a lot of love in the position I am when there's not a lot of cheerleading, and, you know, there's not a lot of cheerleading, and there's nobody on my side. So to perfect my own feelings, perfect my mental stability, to be able to transition from a depressed nature and turn it into helping others, because how I was able to go through it, I want to project that and help the next person. Because there's a lot of awareness. Like, look at men's mental health. Perfect example. And, you know, the episode tonight, like, name one funding there is for men's mental health.
I don't know.
There isn't. What month is men's mental health awareness?
Didn't know we had one.
June.
Okay, sweet.
You know, November is mental health awareness month. But when, you know,
I don't really feel like there's like anything really for men.
There isn't.
Yeah.
There is zero.
Right.
And
it's almost not even cool to be a guy anymore. It's
how I feel sometimes, you know?
Like, oh, you're being a dude? Fuck you. And I'm like, huh? I'm just being me, man. Like, I didn't choose this life.
Yeah.
You know?
Man, and I tell you what, like, like with women, you know, when you have that significant other and you go through hard times, you know, and sitting down just talking about things instead of outbursts and stuff like that. Yeah, you're going to have
communication.
Yeah, communication. You're going to have outbursts because there is anger involved and stuff like that. But if you can contain it and actually sit down and have a conversation,
right,
99% time you're able to work through it.
A lot of shit can get solved without yelling. But I think, like, touching on that, a lot of people don't know how to speak to each other.
Like, that is one thing. And that's with men. So, like, with men, like, you know, as we touch back on to the whole, you're a man, get over it. God, I mean, from generations, that's how it was always, you know?
Toughen up.
Yeah, you toughen up.
Tough.
Yeah, you know, fuck that shit,
but
man.
Then,
you're a man.
But then what happens when you do have to fucking take a break? You're like, fuck, dude, I can't keep going. It's like, what? Is that not okay?
Right, but if it isn't okay, and you are going through things, and you text a friend, I could text somebody on my phone right now, and then when I text them, they're gonna be like, "Man, you're gonna be fine," and that's it.
Right.
So, but when you want to reach out genuinely because you are hurting and you are on that verge of hurting yourself or having an outlet, because most men, when they do commit suicide, the outlet is escaping the pain, may it be financially, family issues. There's the broad span of issues that you can have as a man, and that's your outlet. It's because it's an outlet. You feel like there's nothing else to do. Nobody hears the silent outcries because it's a silent killer. The reason, you know, men kill, it's a fucking silent killer that is not spoken about. It's not preached. It's not talked about. It's not
taught.
It's not taught. So when that person outreaches to try to get help, they don't really receive it. So knowing when you grew up, it was always, you stuffed that shit so far down to where, like,
knock that shit off.
Yeah, I mean, each issue, each problem, each fucking thing that you have to stuff down deep, you just pack it down. And when you pack it down, over time,
builds up.
That shit builds up. And when that shit builds up, people start to see. And then they'll say, oh, he's crazy, you know, like he's got issues, anger issues, or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because you're
tired, man.
You're fucking tired.
Yeah.
You're tired, bro. And when you're so tired, you give up. And that's part of, like, what I do. Like, God, man, I posted something one day. It was on Facebook. I posted something and it said, I'm ready to clock out with life, you know. And I wasn't suicidal, but it was just ready to clock out with life.
Right. Like you were done for the day.
Yeah. So one of my baby mamas, I won't speak which one, but one of my baby mamas texted me. She's like, you're not going to fucking get your son if this is how you acting. And I'm like, God, that's your response. Like, and you're not even my friend on Facebook. Like, how did you even see it? You know, it's like, you know,
she's like stalking you through other people's
right.
shit.
So like, obviously they see it.
Yeah.
They screenshot it, send it to another person.
Right.
And then that person messages me. All in all, where I'm trying to get is not one person cared. Nobody gives a fuck. Right. If I was suicidal, are you okay? That was never once spoken. It's, you won't get your son. Right. So nobody fucking cares what a man goes through.
Why do you think that is? Men are just supposed to be tough and...
Yeah, I mean, it's men's supposed to be tough. We're supposed to be a man, get over it, you know, how all of that is. But, like, it's because we're supposed to be the alphas. It's supposed to, you know, the keepsake, that, you know, we take care of problems. We fix things. We protect. Yeah, we protect you, the family, everything. And we're always just supposed to be that all in all person that's there for you, that's there for the kids, that's there for everybody fucking else.
And you're not supposed to complain. You're not supposed to feel sad. You're not supposed to get tired.
Exactly.
Because you're a man.
Because you're a man. So after you do all of that, when do you have time for yourself? Is it that 20-minute sit in the car in the driveway?
Sounds like it.
Me too. So I'm nobody, man. And I do my things. I do the things that I do to be the voice. Like I'm a guy from Louisiana, you know, like I got a couple friends here and there, you know, but like I do the things I do and promote the content that I do promote. And just last night, 24 hours, you know, I posted something, you know, and when I posted it, I got 100% feedback from women. Wow. And I'm talking about
good stuff, like
all
feedback?
all positive.
Nice.
It was not one negative.
Do you feel like the content you're putting out right now with like men's mental health awareness, do you feel like you're doing some good? Like, do you feel like you're reaching people?
So, excuse me.
All good, bro.
Got to re-up.
That's it, bro. Because I know when we spoke before, it's like you kind of found your purpose, you know, when you made that video, went viral, and you discovered that, hey, I could promote this.
Yeah, and
this way of living in for good, not for, you know.
Right. And I'll tell you, when that video went viral, I got so much hatred from my friends.
Right.
I don't get no support from my friends, and, you know, besides a few. But the most support that I do get, the most support, the most love, the most loving thing that I get is from people I don't even know, strangers, because it has affected their life. Yes. And it's helped them.
Because they actually listened.
They actually listened.
Your friends won't share your shit. They'll share somebody else's shit that they don't know, and it might inspire them. But it's like, oh, that's Louis. I ain't listening to him. He ain't exactly saying anything inspiring.
And this can go in a business aspect too. You can create a business and launch it, and watch how many friends share it.
Yeah, or support it.
Yeah, but they will support that that Nike and that Jordan.
Yeah,
they don't even know them.
No, never met them. Never will.
So, I mean, the biggest thing is, you know, your friends always want to see you do good, but never better than them.
So what's your, like, as of today, like, what's your motive with everything? Like, what are you doing? Like, how can people reach out to you if people got questions? Like, you know, because, like, where can people find you at? Because, you know, this is like the first episode we've ever done something like this, and I would love to have you back to do more of them, or like more like deeper.
Absolutely, man. You know, and I think we should, and
because we don't talk about it enough.
There's a lot to talk about when it comes to that.
I mean, I've been working on my mental health for about 6 years now, and I'm still learning. And you know, it stems back to childhood all the way up to adulthood. You know, so combined.
And see how you just said that to your childhood?
Mm-hmm.
You know, whenever, you know, whenever somebody's in that dark moment and they get ready, or they're in the moment of taking their life, just remember, you're not just killing yourself, you're killing that fucking 8-year-old that you were, that 8-year-old kid that you were, that had them dreams, that has inspired and like just open world to them. You're killing that person, you know? And what's the craziest thing is when you get to that moment, because I've been there, it's that the things that matter to you the most is what you see when you're in that moment, you know? And it all falls back to my son, you know, my 6-year-old Louis, you know? It's
well, I mean, he saved your life, man.
Yeah, that God, you just don't even know like how many times that he helped me, you know. And
no, man, that's good, because I mean, you know, I learned this from my sponsor, that life's always going to happen on life's terms. It's how we react, right?
Right.
You know, there's kids out there in other parts of the world that they got a shitty hand.
Absolutely.
And they're still fucking smiling.
They're still smiling.
They're, you know, missing arms, missing legs, and they're just happy to be alive. And I'm over here in the States going, oh, fuck, they didn't make my Starbucks right this morning, or I'm running late for work because I overslept because I'm, you know, procrastinating.
Right. And meanwhile, you know, them over there, you know, they're trying to think of how to get water for the day.
Right. And I try to keep all that stuff in mind now when I'm having a thought, you know, because, you know, I suffer with ADHD, depression. It all stems from that too.
Right.
Which a lot of people don't realize, like, you know, your brain's going a million miles an hour. And then when you get bogged down,
right,
especially with life hitting you daily, you're like, fuck, I'm tired. And you know, it's hard, man. But I want to, you know, I guess my goal tonight with this podcast is to like be able to get people to reach out to us. And, you know, I'm always down to give advice or share experiences.
Be open.
100%. It's okay. It's okay to cry, guys.
It is.
It's okay to fucking,
man. It's okay.
Look,
but and when you do cry though, when you get to that moment where you're able to cry and you're able to break down and just let it all out, just know, like, cry it out.
Yeah.
Like, get that shit out. Once you get that shit out and you feel better, perfect it.
Yeah.
Perfect what makes you feel better. And I'm not talking about drugs. I'm not talking about alcohol.
Do the work. Do the work on yourself.
Right. Because when you wake up in the morning, you feel like you don't want to get out of bed for work and stuff like that, and you feel like there's 1,000 pounds on your shoulder, it's mentality. Like, God, I mean, when you wake up, your mind, when you're telling yourself, like, I got to get up, I got to, you know, go brush my teeth, I got to go do all these things. And then you get in your car, you go to work, and then your mentality's all in work and stuff like that. And when you get off, your mentality goes to your family, your kids, whatever you may do. But the most intact thing that you come in contact with is your own mind.
All day. All
day. And because you wake up with it, you walk with it, and you go to sleep with it. So until you're able to change your mindset to that, I can, you're fucked, you know. So
that's true.
The step in depression and this, you know, getting past depression is your mindset. You know, it's changing your mindset. You know, because just still days that, you know, I wake up and I'm like, fuck. Dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, David Goggins talks about that in his book. He's like, sometimes I stare at them shoes for like 30, 40 minutes, but I know I got to put them on, you know?
Right.
It's mindset, you know? The mind is so powerful, like we can create anything with it. You could do anything with it. I mean, some people, you know, if they're not preaching, but what's the word? You know, like monks, what do? They meditate.
Yeah, meditation.
People, yeah, I mean,
that is a good thing though. So sit in your car for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
just meditating.
Yeah. When you told me that the other day, I actually thought about that, and I was like, man, I guess I have done that before, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was doing that.
Right, and see, that's the whole purpose of this. That's the whole feng shui of just like the podcast to, you know, my social media. So my content is, I didn't know I was doing that, you know, and you are doing that And because you're just alike. Like every single man, they're in their thoughts.
Yes.
You do have like a good percentage that are blessed that they never really experienced this type of stuff.
Right.
But that's a few, a few percent out of it. But when you look at their percentage, I mean, if you look at the entire world, you're looking at almost 700,000 suicides a year.
That's what I was gonna get at. Like that day when we spoke for like 45 minutes. How did you? Like,
yeah, I mean,
I'll let you say it.
So podcast, we've been speaking, talking at this table for 55 minutes, man. So 55 minutes, if you multiply it, 76 men have already killed themselves.
Wow.
And it's about 1.4 to 1.6 men per minute that take their own life. Because they don't have this.
Right.
They don't have the outreach. They don't have the word, because the word is the content. It's the content, with all of this is
seeing other men go through the same shit they've been through.
Exactly. And it's not a direct message. It's not in your messages, hey man, you're okay, nothing like that. No, but it's showing that, hey, look, I go through this shit too, man.
And you can get yourself out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
There is fucking light at the end. Like you go through this shit. It's okay that you go through. Everybody fucking goes through this. You go through it, but just fucking know that in the end,
you're gonna be all right.
You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
Well, because what I've learned was that, when I put myself in that hole I put myself in, I'm like, fuck, that's a long climb out of there. But it's like, what am I gonna do? Stay in here?
Right. And like,
it's easy to give up. It's way harder to keep going.
You're right.
Yeah,
it is. It's easy to just make that choice and give up. It really is. And you feel like I've been there a couple times, like where
Same.
If I give up, like I don't have to deal with this shit no more. But yes, it will affect my children. Yes, it will affect the few people that do care about me and stuff like that. And like, thank God for the people that do care about me, because I do have a select few. One of the people, I can name drop him, but like Jordan, Jordan, God bless him.
Shout out Jordan.
Yeah.
And thank you for introducing us, because I needed it, man.
Yeah, bro.
Like you came in at a time where I was doubting myself, because as men we always doubt ourselves, right?
Exactly. Every single day, man.
Yeah, dude. But people don't realize, men and women both deal with shit. Women have,
women have issues.
Well, women are strong. They have babies. I mean, I'm grateful. Like, I'm grateful for my mom. I'm grateful for my sisters. I'm grateful for all women. I'm grateful for my wife. It's like, I couldn't do that.
Right.
But then there's, the guy aspect of like, fuck, man, this is also a tough life. I mean, you're human.
So the way you look at that is, if you look at the female aspect of it, yeah, we all have problems.
For sure.
Women have problems that we don't even
can't even imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they have outlets. So if I say open your phone, show me a group text with all of your friends where you can talk about your problems. We don't have them. We don't have them. But if you go to just go to
there's group text. There's men's groups and stuff.
There's men's groups that you can go to, but you have to search for them.
Yeah.
But females, they're blessed with they don't have that stigma. They have their friends group. They have that outreach where they can cry on each other, because they're not seen as weak.
Right.
They're not seen as,
it's okay to cry because it's feminine and it's
right. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, it's okay. But when you go to the man aspect of it, we don't have that.
Right.
And we're just always taught and trained to deal with it.
Yeah.
So all in all is just to let others know that, bro, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. And I dealt with it. People I know have dealt with it. We all have dealt with it. And
dealt with it.
Right. And the stuff that you're dealing with is directly almost the stuff we're dealing with. It may be a different situation.
Correct.
But we're still in our minds and we're still trying to process. And when we know that, we can't outreach, because we don't want to be seen as weak. We don't want to be seen as a lesser of a man. So it's that aspect of being a man, as trying to be a man and remain and keep that masculinity, but also deal with our problems internally with our mental health. And that's ultimately the goal is to let other men know that it's okay not to be okay.
Right.
You know, so, but
next time you come back in the studio, man, I think we should, cause obviously we're gonna try to do some things later on down the road and bring some awareness, link up with some people. Got a few people I want you to meet, and try to start like making a difference, man. You know, like I'm a change the world person. Like you know, I want to save the world.
Exactly, and me with that statement, it's like, you know, there's 7 billion people in this world, you know,
yeah, man.
But
help me
starting
reach as many
off,
as possible.
Yeah, anything is possible, but it's starting off, and because when you think of it, if you can save one person, one man, one woman, doesn't matter gender, but if you could save one person, look at it this way. You save that one man, that man is a father of 4. That man is a friend of many. That man means something to others. You know, it's like
a son.
Huh?
A son.
A son. Yeah, he's a son. Exactly. So just starting off with one's okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, like just.
That's why I started this podcast, to help others.
Right. And that's why, I love it so much, man. Like what you got going on.
Thanks, man.
Is really good.
I'm trying. I told myself that if it helps one person from doing exactly the stuff you're talking about, then I've done my job.
Exactly.
But if I can, you know, reach more, which I know it's possible.
I think you will.
Yeah.
I think you will. I think the message you got going for, you know, your viewers and with the podcast, it's very positive, and
thanks, man.
It gives the opportunity for people to speak on it. And God, man, you know, I want to tell you something. I just remembered it. But man, I know it's almost been an hour, but when you look at it, have you ever received like flowers or a rose or anything from like your significant other or friends, guy friends, anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I've been given gifts by like some of my guy friends, right. You know, like, you know, because luckily for me, I have a few guy friends that like they're on that, you know, I have different levels of friends, right?
Right, absolutely, yeah.
Paths, but it's not often.
That's right.
And it's.
But has any of those gifts been flowers or roses?
They have not.
All right, so most men will never experience their first flower until their funeral.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
So if you're going to show appreciation to a man, and I mean, this goes to women, whatever, but like go to another man and ask him that question. When's the last time they got flowers or a rose? So they don't experience it until their funeral. My thing is this. Why do you show appreciation when a person's dead and not when they're here? Appreciate the person that's in front of you.
I do.
And I do too.
I really appreciate you, man.
And man, I love you and I appreciate you, man.
Too,
and I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
Me too, dude. I can't thank Jordan enough. I owe him. I got an O list. I owe a lot of people. I owe you, man.
No, man, you know what I mean? Not, man. Well, just having your time. And
we're gonna make some shit happen, man, because I believe that putting people all under the same roof, like us and others that eventually you'll meet, and we'll be able to start making some shit happen, because a movement starts with like one person, right? And then you get somebody else to, you know, believe in it. And it's not like something we're trying to believe in. It's like we're trying to do the right thing.
It's doing the right thing people. And it's genuine truth. It's genuine facts.
Yeah. It's all good in my heart. As you would say, I'm trying to do God's work.
Yeah, exactly.
At least, you know.
When I was a police officer, I was trying to do God's work.
Yeah, man. And I thank you for your service for that. I know right now shit's crazy in the world with cops, but, you know, I believe that there's good ones, there's bad ones, just like any other thing.
Every profession has their bad apple.
Yeah. But thanks for coming on, Lou, and I can't wait to see you next time, man. I appreciate
you. I'm excited. Can't wait. And awesome. I'm blessed for this opportunity.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
Thank you.